Hey guys, welcome to 1.2 Flowcharts. We're going to start with string formatting. So far you guys have learned to concatenate anything going in a print function, right? In other words, putting plus. Every time you have a variable, if it doesn't contain a string, you have to convert it using str and add another plus, and then every string has to have all these pluses. Well, there's a shortcut to this. And it's this format function. In fact, there's another one here with f, but we'll start with this one. So let's say that we have three variables: age, name, and siblings. Age and siblings are numbers, integers, and name is Bob. And we want to say Bob is 13 years old and has three siblings. So let's type this as an example. So this will be string formatting, and we'll set these three things. Age is 13, name is Bob, and siblings equals 3. Okay, so the normal way that you're used to doing this is to type print name. That's a string already. That's going to say Bob is, and then again 13, but we have to use str here, right, because that's a number. 13 plus, and then back to a string, years old, and has, and now to put three siblings in here, we have to type str again, right? Siblings plus siblings. There we go. So if we run this, we should get the right output. Let's just check and make sure. So there we go. Bob is 13 years old and has three siblings. Okay, so a better way to do this is to use the format function, and you can put this directly on the end of any string. Okay, so you notice that this is a string method, right? See this dot here. So if you have a string, you type dot format and put a bunch of variables or parameters into this function. Then any places that you've put these curly brackets into that string, it will in the same order fill in the values, okay, fill in the string with those values. So, for example, we can type print. Let's just type this out. Start our string and just put a set of empty curly braces. That's going to take the variable Bob is, and then again, this is going to be 13 years old and has, and this one is going to take siblings, right? Three siblings. Okay, and then you have to type. Right now we're on the end of our string, right, inside the print function. So we type dot format. There it comes up. And now you can put in as many arguments as you want here. And they are positional, right? So you're going to put one in for every curly brace. And so in this case, we have name, comma, age, comma, siblings, right? And they have to be in that order. Otherwise, they would not print correctly. So let's make sure that this is the same. We'll run this, and yeah, see we have the exact same output. So what's really nice about this, of course, is that we don't have to break this string up into multiple parts, right? Like it's one string now with these curly braces, which are kind of like escape characters, right? It thinks it treats the these parts inside the strings just like these, this \n, right? Like the escape characters we've worked with. So that's really nice. But the other thing that's really nice is notice how we didn't have to use an str function here, right? When we put this this little brace in for how old Bob is, right? And we just supplied the name, the age, the siblings, and you see these ones are ints and that one's a string, but it automatically converts these things to strings. So so it saves us having to do that, which is beautiful. And here's an even easier way to do this. So look at this. What you can do as well is you can put the variables right into the braces. And so in other words, if you put a little f right at the front of your print function before the quote, okay, the opening quote, that says that you want each thing in each brace to be formatted for string, for printing as a string. So in other words, we could type this, print. So you type an F in, and now you start your string, and then we can type curly bracket name, put that straight in there. That's going to say Bob, right? Is, and then here age years old and has oops, let's see if we can get rid of this tooltip here. Okay, there we go. And has siblings. Okay, and let's print this and make sure that this also says the same thing. So there we go, right? So so there are two really nice options here that you can use for printing. So on Replit, you're going to find an assignment 1.2a where you have to create a story. And I just want to show you quickly what you're going to be doing with this one. So if you pull that up now with me, so that you can look at it, what you'll see is a whole pile of sentences that have these variables, these formatted strings inside, and it'll look like this. 1.2a story maker. And so I've kind of started this story here and run the program first and follow the instructions. And then it will print a funny story based on the answers that you provided. This is an old game that I used to play when I was in the 90s, when I was a kid, you know, a teenager like you guys. And so what I want you to do for this assignment is finish this story by adding 10 more print statements that use at least 15 more variables, which you add up here. Okay, so, and what you're going to do is you're going to print a hard copy of one execution of your story. So you're going to cut and paste the execution when it's done. And quick note here, you don't have to have a brilliant finish, but I will consider granting some extra credit for anyone who submits something amazing. Optionally, okay, you may start the story from scratch with the same requirements, right? In other words, your story will be shorter overall, but it will still have at least these, you know, 10 print statements and 15 variables. So go ahead and pause the video here and work on this. Okay, so for the next part of the video, we're going to learn about multiple returns. So recall how, right, you can assign multiple things in one statement if you use commas, right? So if we want to set x, y, and z to 1, 2, and high, then we just put an equal sign and we make sure to put them all in the same order, right? Well, you can also return multiple values from a function if after the return statement you list them with commas, kind of like here. Now, in order to properly use all of these returned values, you have to use a multiple assignment statement like this to call the function. So in other words, here, def equals multiple return, the value that multiple return actually gives back, because it's going to give back A, B, and C. And so A, B, and C, whatever those numbers are going to be stored in D, E, and F. Okay, so let's just type this example out so that we have a record of this and can see exactly what happens. We'll call this multiple returns. We'll start with our function def multiple return mynum, and we'll start with assigning some values to A, B, and C. So mynum plus 1. So A is just going to be 1 larger. B is going to be double, right? Double mynum. And C is going to be mynum squared. And then we'll return all of these, A, B, and C. Okay. Now, in order to call this function, we have to assign it to 3 things. So D, E, and F will take the value of multiple return, and let's pass it the number 5. Okay, so mynum is going to take 5, and then A will take 5 plus 1, B will take 5 times 2, C will take 5 squared, and then it will return all 3 of those as D, E, and F. So then let's go ahead and print those. So print D, E, F. And we'll run this program. So what do you think it's going to do? So there it is, 6, 10, and 25, right? So A was 1 more than 5. B was double 5, which is 10, and C was 25. So there you go. And we could print this, we could we could put whatever number we want in here. We could make that 10, and of course it's going to add 1 to 10, right? Double 10, square 10 in every case. And so this is useful in various situations, in some situations where you want to return a whole pile of things, or even just 2 things from a function, because there's more data than just one thing that you want to get out of a function. So you can go ahead and now complete Replit assignment 1.2b, and when you're done that, come on back here and we're going to learn about flowcharts. All right, welcome back. So we're going to learn now about flowcharts, and these are design tools. So you've learned so far one strategy, which is stepwise refinements and pseudocode. And a flowchart is another one of these planning and design tools that helps to visualize the structure of a program. So we're going to start this part by watching a PowerPoint that I've prepared. And just for your reference, the link is here. You can click this if you want to follow along with the PowerPoint. However, it'll be on your screen anyway, so that's not that important. However, we're going to use this eventually draw.io. So you can get that ready by opening this up in a new window, and we'll let that load. You can click decide later when this comes up, and then you should see a screen that looks like this. Okay. So, without further ado, here we go. Welcome to 1.2 Flowcharts by Mr. Baker. So, the purpose of a flowchart is, like I said, it's a tool to help plan and design your program. And really, a flowchart is a visual representation of pseudocode, right? It's a visualization of your pseudocode, which helps plan out a program's decision structure. A flowchart will be required for your next major project, as well as the flowchart assignments that follow. So you'll have to do these, but beyond this class, you can use these anytime you want to help visualize and plan your program. These are very helpful, and I'm going to be requiring these when we do major assignments and projects. So here's a quick example. So let's say we want to add 2 numbers. Here's some pseudocode that could explain that, right? So we're going to start our program. We're going to get 2 numbers as input, add them, and print the answer. And that will be the end. So as a flowchart, this program would look like this. So here it is, right? We start, we get 2 numbers, we add them, and we print the answer, and we end. And really, we're just following the same path, but we're using these shapes to explain and to represent these steps. And notice how they're different shapes, right? So let's look at that next. Well, whenever you start or end, you use an ellipse. Okay, this one, this parallelogram, is an input and output statement. Processes are put in rectangles, and decisions are put in diamonds. So one at a time now. So really, you just start and end your program or your flowchart with an ellipse. Okay, so basically you just put it at the beginning, one of these at the beginning, and one at the end. Simple as that. Then, whenever you're taking input or output, okay, you put those steps in this parallelogram. So in other words, you're reading some number X, right? Or you're printing some value, right? Or some statement. So this is for input, output. Next is processes. So this is for internal calculations, right? So when you're calculating something, or you're storing data in a variable, and other processes that take place in a program. And so really, if you're not really sure, what shape to use, this is a good default. Just put it in a rectangle. If it's some sort of internal process, maybe that you can't decide, it doesn't fit within one of these bounds. Next is decisions. So use a diamond for these, right? So for example, if you're using an if statement, that's a decision, right? You're checking, for example, if X is greater than 7. If that's true, then we take this branch, right? And so now execution on your flowchart should proceed along this branch, the yes branch, right? Or the true branch. Sometimes this, you could write true along here, right? Or false along this side. This is what would happen if X was not less than 7, right? Or greater than 7. If it was 1 or 2 or something. So It's these decision structures that allow your flowchart to branch off into different directions, right? And these are the ones that have kind of made the funny flowcharts that you may have seen online popular, right? The ones where you have to, it says how you do your laundry or make decisions to do your laundry. And it's full of silly things, and it's a good laugh. I'll show you one of those at some point. But in any case, this is how you show decisions. Okay, let's do an example. This example 2 is calculating age based on your year of birth. So we're going to calculate, we're going to start, get the year of birth, find the age, and print the age. And if the age is greater than 50, we'll print old, and then end the program. So we're going to use draw.io at this point. And I'm going to go over there. We'll just close this one. Okay, and then maximize draw.io. And of course, this is what you should see having opened this. Now this interface is really nice. It's very easy and intuitive to learn flowcharts here, and you're going to find it super convenient. So we'll start by putting in a start step, right? And this is the easiest one ever. What you can do is you can actually connect and clone. If you click these arrows, what will happen is it will create another one of these below, right? And so in other words, you could do this. It's automatically going to make a new one. Now we don't really want this new one because we don't need another shape like this. However, we do have our arrow here still, which is handy, right? So so the first thing we need to do is take some input, right? We need to take the year of birth that we want, and so for that we need a parallelogram. Now if you click your arrow and then click the shape you want, then it will actually just automatically make it connected for you. But let's say you didn't do that. I'll just delete this, and you want to actually show this. Well, you could just click the arrow, right? And then it will connect this shape to that one automatically, which is kind of nice as well. So this is a handy program. It makes this a lot easier. So we want to get date or year of birth, right? This is our next step in our program. So that's an input statement. Okay, the next thing to do was to calculate the age, right? So in order to do this, we're going to have to subtract it from the current year. And so this is a calculation, right? So let's extend this. And of course, what we want here is a calculation. This is going to be a rectangle that we want. So we can use rectangle, and we can calculate age, right, based on that. And then the next step was to print the age. And so in order to print the age, we need another, to represent that, we need another one of these, right? So we can go like this, put it out there. And you know what? You don't even have to put it all down. You could branch off this way if you want. And this is where we'll print the age. After that, it's just a matter of checking this condition, right? We have a decision structure here. So if the person is old, is over 50, we're going to write old, right? So let's put this one here kind of in the middle, and we'll give it 2 paths. First of all, we better connect this because we're coming from here. And we're just going to make this a little wider so that I can type more in here. And we'll say age greater than 50, right? Just like in our pseudocode. Then if this is true, we want to print old, right? So this is going to be an output statement. So let's do this. Let's add another parallelogram, and we'll say print old. There we go. And let's connect that to the one above. And in order to indicate that that we're taking this branch, we have to say what reason, like what outcome, like true or false here, right? If the age is 50 and it's true, we're going to come here. So we want to just type that right on the line. So if you click the line like this and then start typing true, or actually just yes, we'll just keep this simple. Okay, then you'll see, right, that the word yes pops up right there on the line. That's so easy and beautiful. That's great. Now what we want to do, of course, is end the program. But notice how, right, we need to take another branch from here, because this is going to, this is going to also have another option, which is no. Right, so you can click that line, type no, and then, of course, we're going to end straight after that. So we'll just bring this out here, and we'll type end. And so if this is not true, then the execution will go to this end place. But we also need to end from here after we print old. And so what we're going to do is just connect this as follows right up to end as well. And once you come up to the edge of end, that should connect nicely and show that execution is going to end after we print old. And then you can drag this around and put it wherever you want. But in general here, this is how you make a flowchart using draw.io. And one thing I should show you before we leave here is how to export this and submit it. So what you can do once you have this ready is you can go to File and Export As, and what you're going to use is a PNG. Set your zoom level to 200%. What on earth here? Let's try that again. PNG. Set your zoom level to 200%. There we go. Click Export. And then click download, okay? And you can set your file name there if you want. And that will allow you to store your image somewhere, which you can then upload to Edsby, okay? Which is how you're going to submit your flowcharts for this, for your assignments, which I'll show you now. So if you go to Edsby, you'll see, or even just Replit, you can go straight to Replit. You're going to find two assignments there, C and D. And the first one looks like this. So for this one, you're just going to make a flowchart that reflects this program, okay? Which is kind of like about taking 3 grades, validating them, and printing high if the average is over 80%. So you're gonna basically make that flowchart and submit it on Edsby, because you're going to find an assignment on Edsby called 1.2c to which you can submit your file. Okay. For the next one, you're going to, if we click, here we go. You're going to actually make a flowchart that matches your pseudocode for guess the number. So the guess the number game that you wrote in the first unit, you dig that back up. And first of all, you're going to paste your pseudocode right in here and update it if you need to, or improve it, simplify it. If you have to, and then you're going to create a matching flowchart using draw.io. Now I should mention for your pseudocode, be sure that it has the right structure, okay, right? So indent if you're using a loop, or if you're asking a question, right? So your pseudocode should be just as you wrote before. So you're going to submit your pseudocode here once that's done. So I have a record of it that I can check and make sure that it's the same as your flowchart that you do on draw.io. Okay, now before you submit everything, get some feedback for this one, because you want to make sure that that your program, your pseudocode, and your flowchart match. Okay, by the way, I should mention that you should be exporting as a PNG, or sorry, as a JPEG, not a PNG. I think I had an issue with PNGs, but in any case, use a JPEG when you submit these, and you'll be in good shape. So, all right, there you have it. Good luck with your assignments, and we'll see you on the other side.